A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you are doing good. Today is 28th May 2020. And today we are going to start our discussion with this quote by John Wooden. Today is the only day. Yesterday is gone. There is no guarantee about future. So the best that we can do is whatever we have today in this moment, all the things, right? All the resources that we have, if we make the most out of all those resources, maybe time, energy, money, whatever, right? If we make the most out of it, then chances are that the next moment can be, I'm not saying that 100%, but next moment, the chances will increase that next moment will be more blissful, more happier, if we make the most out of today. With this difference, StudyIQ has launched a smart course. This smart course is designed by some of the best faculties of our country, and this smart course is for Civil Services Examination. Till 31st May, we are offering you this option for EMIs. To make the most out of it, download our mobile application today itself. I have already shared the PDF of today's lecture on my Telegram channel. You can follow me on Facebook. Please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. If you have learned something from today's discussion, if you think that your capacity is expanding with the help of this series, then please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can support us by informing other students to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Dear friends, on our table we have 4 articles. The first one is by Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu. He's talking about our farmers. Second one is about this swarm of locust. Then we have one more article that is from Times of India. This one is from Times of India. This editorial, in fact, is from Times of India, and the name is Calamities Galore. And these two are connected with each other. So by going through both these editorials, we will cover a very important topic about climate change. And the last one is about economy. It's about supply chains. So let's crack on with this article, enjoying the fruits of their labor. Now, let me tell you that Venkaiah Naidu comes from a farming family, right? And he has witnessed, if you go through his life, and in this article as well, he has explained this thing that he has witnessed this thing, and primarily, or you can say first-hand witness, that he knows this thing very well, that for a very long period of time, our farmers, the whole system has exploited our farmers. I'm not sure how many of you are aware about this thing, but to do a business, freedom of trade is part of our constitutional right. But unfortunately, this right was not available to our farmers because of the system that we have created around our farmers. Can you believe this thing, that farmers cannot even sell? They don't have this freedom of selling their produce even in their neighborhood. They have to give these things to these APMCs, and this APMCs will make the most profit out of this whole operation or the supply chain, right? They will buy things from farmers in wholesale price. They will sell these items to retail price. And the problem with our farmers is that, let's say this is F stands for farmer here. So farmer will purchase everything on retail price. He has to sell his items at wholesale price. So this was a big problem. This is, this is a very rare situation where a person buys things in retail and sells those items in wholesale price. Then I would like to share a few important things, some basic pillars about our agriculture sector. And I genuinely believe that if you are aware about this few facts, then you will understand the whole situation of our farmers, and to an extent you will understand our economy as well. Interesting fact is that, when I say interesting, I don't support this fact. The thing is, this is a very bad fact, but unfortunately that's the reality. Roughly speaking, 50% of our total population, out of our 1.3 billion total population, 50% are engaged in agriculture. 50%. Now, what is the contribution of agriculture sector in our GDP? 15%. That's it. That means 50% of your population is producing GDP worth of 15% only. So if you divide, let's say you have 50 people and you have 15 rupees. If you divide this 15 rupees amongst this 50 people, how much they are going to get? Less than a rupee, less than 50 paisa, I think, or less than that. So this is the main reason, right, that farmers are poor in our country. Then one more thing that I would like to add here. Second important point is that size of their land. Nearly 80%, roughly speaking, 80% of our farmers fall into this category of marginal and small farmers. Marginal and small farmers, 80%. So they cannot afford tractors, they cannot afford latest technology when it comes to farming, they cannot afford micro irrigation and other things. Of course, you have subsidies and things, but you have to pay a little bit money for this micro irrigation facilities. Even those things they cannot afford. What happens is, right, because they have a small piece of land, they can just produce enough for themselves. Now, in any given year, if there is excessive rainfall or drought, then they will lose their produce. So they have to borrow money from someone else, and then they have to survive. When they borrow money from someone else, of course, bank is not going to give them money because they don't have anything to give. And money lenders, they will lend them easy money, right? But the interest rate would be too much. So if they have 1 or 2 years of this, and then say 1 year of, let's say, drought or flood situation, on top, if you add health issues, maybe someone is not well, or you have to get an operation, medical operation or something for one of your family member, that's it, you are done. You have to borrow money from money lender, you want to be able to pay it back, and this piece of land will go back. Not go back, but this piece of land will go to this money lender. So this family will become landless labor. So this is a very big vicious cycle that has been going on for a very long period of time in our country. So these are a few basic things. I hope these things are clear to you, and now I want you guys to think about these 2 points and then try to observe and relate things that are going on as far as our economy is concerned. So when you have 50% of population that is living in this sort of situation, then what is going to be their education level, their kids? Are they going to get all the opportunities that people of, let's say, middle class or people working in the manufacturing sector or someone working in IT sector or services sector? No, they are not going to get all those things, isn't it? They want to be able to afford good education to their kids. On the same time, if you see our government schools, they are not doing that great, isn't it? So they are going to be, that means it will become nearly impossible for this family to come out of this vicious cycle or this chakra view. Then health wise, we don't have, even we have Ayushman Bharat and other things, but still, if you have something big, something very bad when it comes to health, in terms of health, then you have to sell your land and everything. So again, poverty. So these are 1 or 2 points. Now you guys think about, right? I want you to think about it, because agriculture is such a topic that you find question on agriculture every year, particularly in your UPSC Civil Services Examination as well as your state level examination. And if you are preparing for any other examination, then you may expect a question or like essay topic on agriculture. So remunerative price is still a mirage for them. The reason is that many a times they have to sell the produce to the money lender. That's what the condition is. So money lender will make the most out of it. Then they have to rely on market and the middlemen. Middlemen are the people, they make the most, right? They make the most profit. For every rupee that a farmer makes, others in the supply chain get much more. And this exploitation has its roots in Bengal Famine, famous Bengal Famine, infamous, I would say, Bengal Famine of 1943 during World War II. So many people died in our country. It was not because we were not having food. It is because food supply was choked It was not allowed to be, food was not allowed to be transported to this part of our country, like Bengal. At that point of time, this Bangladesh portion was also part of our country. So I think, if I'm not wrong, I think some 60-70 lakh plus people died because of this famine. And then you have 1960s droughts and food shortage. So government came out with this Essential Commodities Act of 1955, and we have this Agricultural Produce Market Committee, APMCs, right? They are, they are strongly, soaked in this politics. Local ground level, grassroots level politics is quite there, rampant in this APMC. And this Essential Commodities Act 1955, it will not allow our farmers to sell items in international market. And for a very long period of time, this M.S. Swaminathan, the father of Indian Green Revolution, he has also said that the rights of farmers, means to sell this thing, we have to allow farmers to sell whatever they produce to whomsoever he or she wants. Then we don't have efficient value chains as well. We don't have cold storage. Few weeks ago, I was going through an article and I came across this example. I have shared this example with students following daily financial news analysis, that farmers from Madhya Pradesh, they produced this grapes. Now, the cost of production for grape is somewhere 20 rupees per kilo. Farmers were ready during this lockdown time. Farmers were ready to sell it for even 10 rupees. They are making clear 10 rupees loss. But then as well, they were ready to sell it because it is a perishable commodity. After a few days, they will not get even 10 rupees. They will get nothing. They have to just throw this whole grape produce or this bunch of grapes into dustbins. So they were trying to make whatever they can. We find this sort of situation because we don't have even today a proper cold storage facility in each and every village of our country, do we? We don't. Just imagine if you have a cold storage facility, farmer will go to that place, he will book his grapes, whatever grapes he has, right? It doesn't matter if he has 1 ton or 2 ton, whatever. He will book a cold storage. He will store those grapes in that cold storage. You will have, if you have a proper, agro processing setup, then you can process these grapes. You can take out the juice and then you can use the pulp for other industry. Pulp can be dried and can be used for other medicine production or some other things, and then juice can be used for wine production, and there are other things. But we don't have this sort of facilities, right? Farmers, they don't have access to all these things. Because of this thing, their condition is always vulnerable, and the more vulnerable they are, the better it is for middlemen and other exploitive businesses that are around farmers. As per a study, restrictions on agricultural marketing amounted to implicit taxation on farmers to a tune of 45 lakh crore rupees in last 17 years, from 2001 to 2016-17. If you calculate, then on an average per year, farmers have paid 2.56 lakh crore rupees per year. This is a sort of implicit taxation. That means the policies that you have designed is creating a loss, or it's like it's taxing on a particular sector. So it's 2.56 lakh crore rupees per year. So anyway, the good news is that this much awaited freedom that farmers and so many other stakeholders they were seeking has finally arrived, at least on papers. And now we have to see how practical this thing is implemented. But at least the good thing is that with the recent package, Essential Commodities Act and APMCs, they are diluted. Now farmers will be able to sell their produce to whomsoever they want. I hope this is 100% implemented. Strong and effective network of farmer or farm producers organizations should be created to enhance the bargaining power of farmers. And contract farming is also a very important thing. As I told you, we have small pieces of land, so it is important that if we have proper contract farming laws, then a person or a company can take this small pieces of land on a lease, and they can produce things on mass scale. So they will pay a fixed rent to this farmer. So that will be a fixed source of income. And if we can produce jobs in industry and services, then farmers can work in this industries, right? In industries as well as services, or whichever sector he prefers to. and he will get a rent from the piece of land that he holds back in the village, or we can create some jobs at a village level. So this things, contract farming can be a game changer. At the same time, stimulus package also supports animal husbandry and fisheries, which is very important. There are a few seasons, or in a year you have few months where nothing goes on in agriculture, so you can rely on those tough times, right, or this lull times. You can rely on milk production and other things. Moving on to a very interesting topic. This one is about the swarm, locust swarm. Now, very interesting thing, right? Just recall that observation. I'm sure we all have seen this grasshoppers, right, in our gardens, particularly in monsoon time. But we hardly see them in this big swarms, right? It is because something happens, right? And when I say something, I mean to say that because of climate change, right, something kicks in, and all of the sudden, this swarms, generally we find them in silos. They something goes, and they are all together. You find them in this swarm. So that's a matter of concern, because they can eat nearly in a day or something. They can eat their size of their weight, right? Their life is not that long, but they can eat in a day. If you have this big swarm, then they can eat millions and millions of food items. So they can destroy. They are basically a disaster for our farmers. One more threat for our farmer. Already our country was going through this super cyclone. Can you give me the name of that super cyclone in the comment section right now? I'm going to share the answer in 5 minutes with you guys, but till then I want to see how many of you can get it right. So stick your answer if you know in the comment section the recent super cyclone that hit Odisha and West Bengal. At the same time, we are going through coronavirus issue. Now we have one more danger, and that is this locust swarm. One important information that we have Locust Warning Organization, LWO, set up, or HQ is in Jodhpur. Objectives of this LWO is monitoring and tackling periodic outbreaks of the marauding insects. And there were 13 locust upsurges from 1964 to 1997, and after 2010 there was no large-scale breeding reported. The big threat at present is for 3 states. One is Gujarat, Rajasthan, and parts of Madhya Pradesh. Now the problem is that because of climate change, more and more triggers are that means this locust are getting a sort of trigger. And I'll explain you one thing, then this will make a bit more sense. On your screen, you can see this Indian Ocean dipole. So this whole portion is Indian Ocean, as you know. So what happens is, this is positive. This is positive Indian Ocean dipole. So in positive Indian Ocean dipole, warm water is over here and cooler water is over here. So when you have warm water in this portion, more rainfall will take place in all these countries, right? More rain in parts of Africa, portion of UAE and India and Pakistan and other places, and less rainfall in these parts. When in this dipole will change after a few years, right? Again, it is erratic. There is no fixed pattern that after 2 years or 3 years. It all depends. Means scientists are still trying to understand this Indian Ocean dipole. So every few years, this water will become cooler and this will become warmer. So they will have more rainfall, and this area will go through drought-like situation. Now, more rainfall here means, few months ago, rainfall took place in this empty quarter. This is a desert that you find in UAE, and there are parts of Africa where you don't find that much rainfall, but because of this positive Indian Ocean dipole, there was like heavy rainfall, and this triggered a sort of situation. This created a situation like breeding ground situation for this locust, and this is one of the reasons why we find this locust in this big swarm. There is also one more pattern that we know so far, is that once a significant outbreak starts, it lasts for around 2 years, and then there is a quietus for about 8 years. This is about locust. So climate change is also providing a trigger to this sort of situation, and then we were going through this quarantine. So India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, they were not able to spray proper pesticides. So we were not able to stop them. Now we are working on it, and hopefully we will be able to stop them. But one thing, very important link is associated with climate change. Then we have one more editorial. It's about calamities galore. This one is from Times of India. As we know that COVID-19 is going on, then super cyclone Amphan. This is the answer of the question that I asked you. And now we have already gone through this Locust Swarm. Now there is one more thing, and the one more thing is, this is the fourth thing. If you see, then this is basically heat wave. North India along with Southeast Pakistan acquired the unhappy distinction of being the hottest part of the planet. Governments now have to tackle multiple emergencies simultaneously. This is going to be our reality. This is start of this whole climate change and its negative impact. In last 20 years, we have seen this zoonotic outbreaks have increased as well, and this SARS-CoV-2 is also a zoonotic disease. Global warming is going on, and this is the result of all our misuse of natural resources, and too much of greed, too much running behind rat race, behind this wealth generation, just focusing on GDP rather than sustainable development. All these things are now showing their bad impact or negative impact or side effects. I think as human beings, as species, we are not paying attention to the message that Mother Nature is trying to give us. And if we don't stop our activities, then the future is going to be more horrific for us, right? More bad, more horrid for us, I would say. Countries must increase their emission cut commitments. Even today, they are doing just for, it looks like few countries are just doing it for the sake of doing it. They are not doing it genuinely. It's a mechanical thing rather than being more artistic and being more 100% committed to it. They are just doing it to show the world that they are doing something. We have to make sure that we don't hit this trigger point or tipping point. 2 degrees Celsius average temperature is going to be a tipping point. I'm talking about pre-industrial level. Right, pre-industrial, to be specific, we are talking about 1750s. So whatever the temperature was at 1750s or before that, we should make sure that global average temperature should not be 2 degrees Celsius higher to this global average temperature of 1750s. If we touch 2 degrees Celsius by the end of this century, then we will cross a tipping point or touch a tipping point, and that tipping point means that there is no written ticket, right? That's it. It's a one-way street. Once you cross this thing, then that's it. The destruction that we will see will be unimaginable. Whatever destruction this locust has caused to farmers, they should get their proper crop insurance money timely as well as in fair fashion. Heat wave, to protect our people, we have to restrict a few activities like outdoor activities, construction and other labor work. We should restrict it from, let's say, 11 a.m. to 5-6 p.m. It all depends on different parts, and then we are going through lockdown, so government should adjust this lockdown timing. I think few states, right, governments are not following this proper logic. We are living in a sort of tropical, subtropical region. You are keeping doors open till 4 p.m. Right, businesses are open till 4 p.m. and then lockdown will continue till 7 p.m. I don't see any logic in it. You should keep it like keep businesses open till 11 a.m. in the morning, from 7 or 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. Then shops and everything can shut down. If you are working indoors, let's say in a factory, that's okay. But other things, retails, you can close it. And then after 6 p.m., when the sun is about to set, when the temperature is a bit bearable, then you can allow it till 11 p.m. That's what I think, right? That will means people would like to go out in the summertime. We are living in one of the hottest place in the world. What do you expect? And not everyone can afford AC and everything, isn't it? But anyway, to protect our people from heat wave, we have to create this we have to hydrate them, provide water and other facilities, heat shelters, and medical help should also be provided. Moving on to last item, this one is about helping supply chains recover. Now, if you go through few articles, and I have been discussing articles in Daily Financial News Analysis, so There are a few articles or a few writers, experts, they are saying that if we don't work on demand, if you don't give money in the hands of people, then even if you resume your factory work, that's not going to help. There are a few articles, they are saying that if you just to focus on demand and not on supply, then that's not going to help. But the main thing that this article is saying, that we have to work on both sides. You have to support the demand and you have to support supply. Both should work simultaneously with each other. Only then we would be able to resume our economic activities back to normal. Now, putting money in the hands of people can increase the demand for goods but cannot increase the supply of the goods, because everything is connected with each other, right? Mining will produce metals. These metals will be used for producing machines. Machines are used for harvesting crops and transporting fuel and so many other things. You use these machines for producing flour and bread, and this bread is used by people. To collect that, you are using transportation or automobiles, and there are so many things, right? So everything is connected with each other in an economy. Automotive parts or spare parts, they may look non-essentials, but once you start food carrying trucks, they are going to break down, and for that you need automotive spare parts. So half measures, right? 99 degrees Celsius is not going to create evaporation of water. You have to step into this 100 degrees Celsius zone. Only then you will see evaporation. So same thing applies with our supply chain. If you are keeping few things off and keeping few things on, this will not help. Then on top we have labor shortage issue. This will create supply chain disruption, particularly countries like developing countries like India and other countries. If you see Europe and USA, they have machines and robotics, and they are using less labor for production. They are using more machines and everything. Here we don't have those things. We are using more labor, and labors are not going to come back anytime soon, around mid-July or something. So it's going to be very challenging for us to resume activities. Then we don't have that much money, because we are living in this poor countries list. We are, India, a big country. We have done many things, but still we are a poor country. Poverty is everywhere around us, right? So we don't have that much capital that we can inject. So the reality, the most important thing is just like not just national but global supply chain as well should resume, and so should this domestic supply chain. We can learn so many things from Germany, West Germany. After this World War II, it was in a bad situation. So what they did is, that then Chancellor Ludwig Erhard, he lifted price controls and he chopped taxes on items. And this created, then market was given a free hand. So market itself re-established this whole destructed supply chain. And in like next 5-6 years, things were back to normal in Germany. In fact, they were doing quite well. Then we have news items. Now, Mr. Trump is offering his services as a mediator. He wants to mediate between India and China. The thing is that already China and USA, they are going through problems. So how they are going to help us in solving our issues. And this is a bilateral thing. I think both of our countries, right, India and China, both of them are mature enough, strong enough that we can solve this. This is not a big problem, right? We should not make it big. This is just a small difference. We should not take it to a next level and create bilateral issues with both nations. That's what China's ambassador to India, Sun Weidong, has said, that this difference we should never let the differences shadow the overall situation of bilateral cooperation. Amid impasse, commanders meet begins. This is a good news. This biannual Army Commanders Conference, ACC, began on Wednesday, and this, I believe, will help us, both nations, to solve this problem. India should pull out forces from Kala Pani. This is a statement coming from Nepal's foreign minister, and he's saying that we should pull out our forces from Kala Pani. Now, a few days ago, we were talking about this whole Kala Pani issue, remember? And I have one question for you guys. Can you tell me which exact force we have deployed at Kala Pani? Name that force in the comment section. I want to see how many of you can remember. I have clearly explained that name of that force I mentioned, I remember. Government removes 4,500 ceiling on COVID-19 test. And governor modifies law on governor of Maharashtra. He has modified laws on forest rights. Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006 has been modified. And despite lockdown, wheat procurement on target. So we have this Punjab, Haryana, they have achieved their target. Madhya Pradesh has achieved its target, but Uttar Pradesh is still at 40%. And that's everything in today's discussion. Thank you very much for watching this video. God bless you all. Jai Hind.